All right, welcome back to our interview with Jillian Knight, a financial therapist. The last two videos, we discussed both the systemic issues facing women in the personal finance world, as well as some of the limiting beliefs that those systemic problems caused. But really, Jillian, there's another question I want to ask, and that's that gender roles are still informing at least some of how money is dealt with in the home, per our previous interview. Can you give us some advice on how women can maybe talk to their partners about finances without it becoming an argument?
Yeah, sure, of course. And again, thank you for having me. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Money is, as I'm sure most people can relate, is one of the hardest topics for any of us to talk about. And talking about it with your partner is really hard for most people. It really it brings up a lot of emotions. It brings up a lot of kind of basic needs, desires, goals. The advice that I would give is going into it with an open mind and a lot of curiosity and as little defensiveness as possible. I think that kind of practically speaking, it's usually a good idea to kind of set it up for success. To talk about anything really difficult like money, you want to make sure that maybe even give your partner kind of a heads up, like, hey, I would love to talk to you about our finances, or however you phrase it. When would be a good time for you to do that? Just to give them some heads up and not kind of ambush them with the conversation. And then also, making sure it's a time when like neither one of you is tired, neither one of you is hungry, or particularly like overly stressed about something else if possible. But then I think just really trying to understand, into it trying to understand instead of trying to explain your perspective. So really asking sort of open questions about, what's your perspective on that? And I would love to know, how you feel about that, or where do you think that comes from? And trying to get underneath sort of the surface level, whatever it is, because as a therapist, I can tell you it's never about the thing. It's never about the thing that you're talking about. It is almost always about something deeper, whether a lot of times it's a fear, it's an unmet need. And it can be a lot easier to have those conversations when there's, assuming that you're able to it's a safe relationship where you feel like you can be vulnerable. Having vulnerable conversations about money, that is going to be more powerful, and it is going to help the conversation go more smoothly than this tendency to get into a surface level conversation where you're blaming each other, or getting into kind of an argument when there's so much going on underneath.
Yeah. One thing that my wife loves to do is called road mapping, where she gets into a conversation with somebody that she feels is going to be something that could turn defensive very easily. She'll often say something to the effect of, we're going to talk about this, and I just want you to know that even if it comes across like, I'm attacking you, or that I don't think you're competent, or that I don't think you're good at this, I want you to know that I don't feel that way. And I want you to tell me that you think that I'm coming across that way. And that's just done so much for our relationship in terms of being able to talk about some really tricky things, just being open at the beginning with why you want to have the conversation, and really how you're feeling going into it.
Yeah, that's awesome.